This is Ouch My Wallet, hosted by Robert Simmons, a production of the TF Talk Network. Hello everyone and welcome to Ouch My Wallet here on December 11th, part of the TF Talk Network. As usual, I'm your host Rob. We'll go through introductions quick. We got Lucas and Paul, but with us is a special guest this time. First ever guest for Ouch My Wallet, and I think it's kind of fitting, although we're happy to work with his schedule. It is Randy of NerdOut. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Randy from NerdOut.
You may have seen Randy on YouTube on his NerdOut channel with a K. But Randy also recently opened his physical toy store in Michigan, I believe?
That's correct. Oak Park, Michigan. 8106 West 9 Mile Road.
Yeah.
Oak Park, Michigan.
And so,
very exciting.
So normally this show here, if you're not familiar, we talk about just, what toys have we bought the past week or since the last episode or last time you were on, that, and just gives an excuse to be nerds and, to coin a phrase, nerd out a little ourselves. So, it's usually about, again, what hurt your wallet recently, but thought it would be cool to bring you on the show and talk about what it's like actually opening your own toy store, and which, not only helps you inflict some pain to wallets, but I'm sure call some to yourself. Starting any business is always got to be fun and risky. So how's it been?
So far, so good. It's there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle and different aspects of opening the store, and it's I guess I wish I could clone myself one or two, give myself a clone or two. I just opened up this store. I have a website currently, NerdOutToys.com, and I'm trying to build a store side to that too, because the problem is only so many people live in the Metro Detroit area, and I want to be able to reach way more people, and I'm figuring that out. That's a very important part to the whole piece. So trying to do that, and I'm trying to run the store. I'm trying to advertise, get people in, putting out new merchandise, sorting through merchandise. It's long days for sure, but it's worth it.
Are you doing this as your full-time job now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's honestly, I don't know that it'd be possible to really be ambitious and try to open a store and not do it full time. With that said, I am closed on Mondays and Tuesdays currently due to family obligations, but I don't know how long that's gonna carry on because I really need to be at the shop and do stuff, but.
So in this day and age, it sounds like you're starting with a brick and mortar store.
Yeah.
And you're considering adding on the online component. Can you maybe?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
A lot of places go the opposite direction. It seems like these days because the startup costs are maybe a little less. Can you kind of go into why that you went that direction?
So I'm totally going backwards, no doubt. I think it is probably not the smartest time to, just general to open a brick and mortar store. But the truth is that was the dream. The dream was for me to want to sit in a store, and connect with people, with human beings, and have people bring things in, buy, sell, and trade. Like that was the dream. The online element is just a fact of the matter. Like it has to be, just to truly succeed. But I know I just decided that I wanted to start with the hard part first, and that's what I think. I think it's the hard part. The actually going out there, creating a store, and market it, and then go and add the other element. It is backwards. There's no doubt.
Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily backwards. It's just I think a lot of people can. Yeah, like was there a situation that arose like, hey, I had this opportunity, like there was a space available that I've been looking at and I just decided to jump on it, or did you just like go whole hog in?
I went
like,
hog
I'm
in.
opening the store.
Yeah, I did.
Sweet.
I was just sort of I guess to say just I don't want to say at crossroads, but it was just I guess I had the opportunity. It was continue on these other paths or take the risk and do what I genuinely always wanted to do. And I guess it was just a F it moment. I don't know if you guys can swear.
Yeah, you can swear. We don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. So I decided that's it. Let's do it. And then I did find a space. And then once I found the space, then it just sort of kept going and just grew and grew and grew until one day I just, here it is, a store. It was pretty wild and rapid. It was crazy, I guess.
So,
I mean, you don't have to lie. You can just say that your wife was like, you need to sell some of this stuff.
You know what? She was actually a big proponent of the store, and it's truly because she just didn't want the basement to be full of toys anymore. So she was like, "Look, just do it." So essentially, it was like basically renting a storage area, except for that I'm actually selling stuff where before I would just acquire stuff, and now I'm actually moving it and selling and trading. But yeah, no, definitely, there's no doubt that she was a big part of the decision to do the store.
Yeah, I can imagine you as a family man, and the three of us are all family men. So is Paul, for that matter. It's you don't make decisions like that unilaterally. You don't make them in a vacuum.
No.
Not to dwell too much on the past, but I am curious. What were you before you started the toy store? What business were you into?
Yeah, so I was actually selling toys, mostly on eBay. I years and years ago I had a website, but that also has become sort of an ancient way of selling. Just people sell on like Facebook marketplaces and Instagram. So the website really has, unless you have the whole package, it really is antiquated type of way of doing business. But that was years ago, and I was selling on eBay, and then I was doing real estate as well. So I jumped into real estate, and that was fine, but it really wasn't fine. And it was sort of the drive to do this. It was I could keep pushing forward and doing that thing that I wasn't passionate and in love with, or I could open this toy store, and I went with the toy store route.
So did you find yourself like making a big savings before you made the leap, or were you able just to kind of roll right into it?
I was fortunate to have some funds, but yeah, we just kind of rolled into it.
Awesome. Did we were talking about the kind of the brick and mortar aspect of the world, which I've mentioned, I don't know, to my friends before. They know I'm not a big brick and mortar fan. Matter of fact, I kind of hate it. However, there's something different with a vintage toy shop. There are some things that you need to be able to see. I mean, and you can buy things. You can buy everything online. There's literally nothing you can't buy not online. But I think I mentioned before the show, I bought my desk chair. It's nice to be able to go and sit on them first.
Well, yeah. I mean, not to cut you off, but yeah, I don't think people wake up their Saturday morning and like, you know what? I'm so excited. I'm going to go desk chair shopping. It's not like, but with a toy store, I think that's the draw, is that it is easier these days to go to Amazon and push a button and have something delivered. But if I feel, and I could be corrected, if you're a toy collector or if you're into any sort of hobby, the joy of actually going to the place and seeing and handling that item is part of the experience. But the trouble is that there's not a lot of those places out there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's one of us here that doesn't buy and sell on eBay. Especially as I think we're all probably around the same group, either approaching 40 or maybe just recently crested 40. And so the way we collect has changed, and so there's always a lot to get rid of, and it's what do I do with it? And you can, we have some other friends in our group that deal in vintage toys. None of them have a physical location though, and that's what's really unique about what you've done, compared to other people I know. Do you think? Well, what is this saying? It's like one time is just an occurrence, twice is a coincidence, but third time's a trend, or something. And a toy store just opened in Nashville that is, I believe, very similar to what you're doing, where it's called Totally Rad Toy House. So if you're in Nashville, you got to go there. It's awesome. If you're listening to this show, you're gonna love it. But, it's He-Man and Transformers and Ninja Turtles and everything in between. Like there's some more modern stuff there too, like with Marvel Legends. You got a bunch of the Toy Biz stuff and the Hasbro stuff, like both eras. But a lot of it's centered around that '80s nostalgia that we all share in common. Do you think there's a trend of brick and mortar for vintage, kind of like our generation's version of the antique store? That these might start cropping up more and more. Have you seen any more of those coming around? Are there more in your area?
For me, no. I honestly, it's actually, I find it to be the opposite. Like, I remember the days when there was, we'll call it a comic book store, because I mean that's sort of how toy stores always seem to piggyback off the comic book store, because it just wasn't usual to find when I say toy store, I mean like action figures, vintage, and stuff like that. Yeah. And
uh-oh.
Oh no.
5-6 miles you would find a comic book store, and I'm finding that they're fewer and fewer. And then what I'm doing is quite different, because it is really toys and action figures. Like, I've got like a box of comics, but it's pretty much toys. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, but I mean, like you said, you find one popping up in your neighborhood, and
yeah,
maybe it is a trend.
I would think the advantage too to a store like yours is so much about toys, right? I mean, you collect so many different lines with NerdOut and all that, and so if somebody, like, if I'm a parent or if I'm a collector and I want to be able to learn about Star Wars toys or Transformers toys or whatever it may be, like, I can legitimately come in there and I can have a conversation with you, and you can tell me, like, here's the best line to collect. Like, you really want to, collect this if you want to, try to, for the value to go up, or you want like, if you want something cheap, like, go for this, like, just whatever the case may be. Like, I feel like the amount of knowledge, and I'd assume this other toy store you're talking about too is Rob's the same way, but it's like the amount of knowledge that you have that I won't get. Like, if I just run to Walmart or Target or wherever, like, I'm not going to get that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think if you're going to open up a specialty store, you've got to be a passionate person, because it is, I mean, it's such a specific product or set of products. And yeah, I mean, I think you have to be passionate to do something like this. It's really risky. It really is. Like, I have no idea if there's enough market in the Metro Detroit area, and to keep an action figure and toy store hopping. So, but yeah, I hope that people come in and they feel that passion, and they feel like they can come in, hang out, really, enjoy themselves, and they really get a feeling of the passion.
So let's talk a little bit about what you got in the store itself.
Sure.
So, like, give us a rundown. Like, what's the spread of, I mean, I've seen, the videos of you kind of, going around showing a bit of the store. But, what would you say you have? Like, and what are you interested in having? Even if you don't have any right now, from vintage to modern, lines, that kind of
For sure. Stuff. So you gotta have the Transformers, the Star Wars, and the Marvel Legends. Those are like, your biggest draw. You're gonna get the most collectors. I'm both doing vintage, and I'm getting some new merchandise as well. I've been getting the Super 7 reaction figures. I think those are fun. And then some of the smaller, like, toy lines that you're just not going to find at your I would say typical toy store. With Toys R Us gone, there really isn't much of a typical toy store, but like your Target aisles. But yeah, Star Wars, Transformers, Marvel Legends, but like the the thing that I'm personally most passionate about and that I get excited for is like some of those like obscure 80s toy lines, like Mask isn't really that obscure, but Mask, like Centurion, Sector, Star Ears, Visionaries, the deep cuts. Like I do carry it, and I do love, like, if someone brought in a collection with that stuff in it, I would be probably more thrilled than if someone brought in, some Power of the Force, Star Wars rare figures. Just the obscure 80s stuff, the stuff that you sort of remember, like the Crystar and weird stuff like that. The deep cuts.
And that stuff is difficult as well. Like, Transformers are super well documented. If you give me a Transformer part, I have multiple resources that I can find. If you got Ninja Turtles, there's a good site called tmnttoys.com. It's low tech, but it's there. But you start getting to like, what is this Star Ears weapon? I don't know. I barely know that line exists. I think I mainly know because I think Toy Galaxy recently did a video talking about it. And I mean, I didn't know of the toy line even before that. And some of the other ones you listed off, like Visionaries, I wouldn't know a Visionary weapon from anything. And I don't think a lot of people would, and I don't think there's a whole lot of resources out for that. So that's got to be both fun and challenging.
Absolutely. I'll be honest with you, like, again, that's the stuff I really specialize in, so I do know it rather well. I've spent a lot of time putting that together, but that is the difficult part, is because there's not, to open a store and then hope that people are going to come in looking for, some Rock Lord or something. It's just yeah.
Oh, no,
but like,
you find a fossil source, you let me know. You find a rock shot, you find some of the Jewel Lords, you let me know.
Jewel Lords? I got them, but those are staying in the personal collection. That's a difficult thing. That's a whole thing we can talk about right there. Is like it's like what do they say? Like,
don't smoke your own
don't
product.
Get high on your supply. Right. And that's a challenge. But I've actually found it. I don't know how to describe it, but because I'm in it all day long, it does make it a little bit more okay to not come home to it. Like, I know it's there, and I know that I'm constantly getting new stuff, like out with the old and with the new, that it sort of satisfies that itch of a toy collector. As long as I can sustain a profit and make it work, then I think I'm pretty satisfied.
Yeah, so I want to dig into that topic a little bit, because I had messaged you on one of the NerdOut videos, like when you were talking about the store, one of the early ones, and I was curious, like, how much of the store, the original stock, was your shit in your garage that you're like, I gotta get rid of this stuff, versus I got this stuff that doesn't fill up a store. Super 7, you can do license, or not licensing, but warehousing deals or whatever, like wholesale, that's the word. You can buy from them wholesale pretty directly, versus like, oh hey, I know another guy or two that's selling their collection. And then kind of what was that split of stock as it came in?
Yeah, so for sure. So I would say that it started off as, like, I would say 40% my toy collection stuff, or whatnot, and then as soon as I went forward with this, that's when I got the wholesale accounts, and that's when I actively was hitting the toy shows and hitting the circuit and buying with the intention of opening the store. But that was only about a 3-month at best time frame, because just sort of did it. I got to be honest. So, but those 3 months, I was actively acquiring merchandise through vendors that I know in the area. Hitting even the eBay and stuff with stuff that I knew that with the intention of putting into a store. But I would say ultimately, it started out 30 to 40% of stuff I already had.
So, how do you? What do you use to let you guide that between? I could turn a nice profit on this collection that came in, versus I don't have that in my toy collection.
Well,
what's your rules?
Again,
we all got these bullshit rules we make up for ourselves to guide us.
Yeah,
that might be the secret sauce, Rob. I don't know. We might be prying.
Yeah. So no, that's cool. I mean, the rules are, if it's something, if something possession. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, I've been collecting really all my life, and I really mean that. Like, maybe there was like a year or two in middle school where like I sort of backed away from it. But even in high school, I mean, I was a toy collector, and I'm 43 now, so I really went nonstop. So I've really had a great deal of everything in my possession at one point or not, and it's not everything. But my rule is if it's something, if I acquire something that I don't think that I'll ever see it again, or I think it'll be like not till a long time to see it, then I might stash that away into my personal collection. But if it's something that I know I'll see again, come across again, then it'll go out for sale, if that makes sense. Yeah. So again,
what's like a transformer that would, or is there a transformer that would fit that bill? Be like, whoa, I'm not getting rid of this.
No, I don't think so. To be honest with you, I have as far as Transformers go, I have a Binaltech collection that I love, and I would never sell those. But fortunately, no one else gives a shit about Binaltech, so I'm golden.
Well, because we already got them.
Right. So people, they're not buying these $50 metal masterpieces or whatever. Like they're not, you can't get any money except for a few of them. So I've got a showcase of my Binaltech, and I feel like that pretty much satisfies my absolute like untouchables as far as Transformers go. But with that said, I do have a GoBots Machine Robo collection that's untouchable. Like those are with me till I die.
So like if a bunch of G1 mint and sealed box stuff fell into your possession, you would just flip it.
Gone. Flip it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll appreciate it while I have it, but again, I'll be surrounded by it at the shop. But yeah, absolutely. No, I don't think I'd have any attachment to something like that.
So, you're very much here doing what you love. That's, I write software, and I got into software because I loved computers and I love technology, and I still love writing software. But I also hate writing software. If anytime you start doing anything you love for money, it can kind of sour you on what you do. Like if I didn't write code for a month, I would have to start writing code again, and I would do it out of passion. But I'd need that break in between. And you said you've been buying and selling toys for a while online, and again, a lot of us have, but doing it full time as a job, do you think it'll make you hate toys or get tired of them or grow numb to them, or?
That's a good question. I guess that'll be something that you'll have to ask me in like a year or two.
Hasn't happened yet?
I don't. No, it hasn't. Like, I really love being surrounded by action figures all day long. Don't get me wrong. There's a few times where I'm like, all right, I got to get out. And I know that the challenge of being in a store is that you lose your freedom. As opposed to like if I'm selling online, I can sell online and I can go run some errands and then go back and do my shipping. The thing about a store is that I'm in that store, and until I hire an employee, which will probably be for a long time, because I have a control issue, and I mean it's my shop for now.
People are expensive too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's the one drawback, is that I'm always like I have to be there certain times. So, but with that said, like I am certain that I'll probably get burnt out, and again, like my attachment to keeping things has loosened up a bit. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, and it's not because I don't like it. I do find myself like a great advantage of it too is that I do like new toys as well. So when I go and buy a new Transformer that I want to fiddle with, for example, I bought the new Transformers Siege Mirage. Played with it. It was all right, and put it right back out on my shelf. And I have the ability to do that, and that's great. Like I can hate stuff. I can still buy a new toy. My masterpiece Optimus Prime is sitting in my showcase right now. I don't know what that says about my feeling towards the MP44 that you have behind you, but
he has a few.
You have a few of them.
I was going to say which MP Optimus are you talking about? But you talking about MP44?
Yeah, because I wouldn't sell my MP01 or my MP10, but MP44 I didn't build the connection to it. So
we did a show. It was just me, Lucas, and Paul talking about MP44. I mean, and me and Paul are like,
Oh, I'm starting fights then, huh?
oh no,
No.
And
See,
I'll say,
I'm
we
on
love
your
to
side.
argue.
I'm totally fine.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Greatest Starstream toy of all
Oh
time.
God, shut up with that shit.
I think it's funny too, like on your NerdOut show, like because you guys have echoed a lot of the same thoughts that I've had, where it's like I'm not 100% sold on the direction that they're going with the new stuff.
Yeah, they knocked me down. I'm out. MP44 was the last G1 masterpiece I'm purchasing for myself, I think.
Yeah.
Not including Beast Wars. I love the Beast Wars ones, but
There's also only 5 of them.
yeah. But going forward, I'll buy whatever they buy. With that said, I don't know. Maybe I'm not in tune with the current Transformer
You're not.
trends.
It's been divisive.
Yeah, it is. It has been. See, I actually think that Raiden they showed, is that how you pronounce it? That's the. Do you know what I'm
Raiden.
talking about?
I don't know.
Raiden.
Raiden. I don't know. I've heard
Everyone
it.
says Raiden.
That-
I don't know
Right,
if they
see-
showed anything.
Right,
That's
that's
true.
true.
Yeah.
But that sort of interests me more so than some of the other things that they have been producing. And maybe that's just, exhaustion from how many Bumblebees, how many Optimus Primes, how many, of these characters can I see? Whereas the Raiden, we'll call it Raiden, there's only one that I know of. I'm sure there's
No.
another one.
No.
Oh, no? Okay.
No.
So that intrigues me. Like that would motivate me to consider buying one.
Yep.
And if it sucks, I'll put it in my store, and then someone else can buy it.
The only other Raiden we've got was PVC figures that came out like early 2000s.
Yeah, the SCF ones or
Yeah.
SFC.
Yeah, that's the only other Raiden anything they've done.
Yeah,
Like not even third party. Zeta. I don't know how familiar you are with third party stuff.
a little bit.
A little bit. So like Zeta has teased a Raiden, and now this maybe we're getting a masterpiece Raiden. Nobody knows yet. We're still waiting to hear more. Like even some Japanese speakers were like they say the word masterpiece, but it's still not really clear what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Can we back up a second? So having your own toy store, you kind of get to make your own rules and say you have your MP44 and you purchase it for X, for potentially yourself. Now you have it and you're able to sell it. I mean, is that I guess what I'm going to ask is it might be too deep. I don't know, but like
It's hard to turn a profit.
are you making a profit or not?
Yeah, well,
like
so
are you able to?
Here's the thing about that. That's a very good question. The thing is about dealing in new toys, at least from my experience, I don't know, for the current time, you're really not making a huge profit on the new merchandise. So if I wholesale, for example, the new reaction figure or whatever, your profit margin's very small. You're going to make your money on the vintage toys. So you're sort of carrying the new stuff almost as a service to your hopefully loyal customer base. And also, so you're going to make your profits on the vintage stuff because you can make some high profits on there. And then, if you're lucky, you'll make a 30% profit on a newer item. And that's really to serve your community.
Yeah,
That's a good way to put it.
It feels to me too. We talk about how you kind of cycle some stuff through, and I've noticed that with my habits as I've been going. I'm the opposite of you. I'm kind of also the opposite of Lucas, where I've been getting rid of my Chug era stuff. And I enjoyed those toys, and I still like a lot of those toys, but I'm like, but space is an issue, and I have a large display room, but space is still an issue. It's still, the universe might be infinite, but my basement isn't. So
yeah, I mean, I'm a believer that you have to rotate your collection. It's got to be constantly moving collection. I mean, obviously there's certain pieces that are, I guess you could make 3 categories: unsellable, definitely sellable, and then when the time comes, I mean, but ultimately, unless you have infinite amount of money, infinite amount of space, I think you have to rotate your collection, and I think that's fun to do. It's hard sometimes. It's hard to let go. But sometimes when you do, it's gratifying.
I think I don't know.
I love the system you've done too, Randy. Where because I think don't you have like a certain amount in bins, right? and then you have a certain amount like in your display room, and then you kind of rotate it. How often do you do that rotation?
Well, now with the store, are you talking about personal, or are you talking about like actual store or personal
Yeah,
collection?
just personal. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, now it's my focus has been 100% on the shop. I think I came down to my basement. I think last week and kind of moved stuff around, but that is one challenge, is that the personal collection is being neglected. Like, it's like whatever's in the showcase in my personal collection sort of stays in the collection, and then as I acquire new things for myself, they sort of just kind of hang around until I guess I decide to keep it or not.
And that point about having stuff available, even if it is just a one-on, like you bought an MP44 for yourself, you checked it out, and you're like, and you put up in the store, like, even if you don't make a profit on that item, it still brings that variety to the shop. And
for sure,
I think it's important for us to remember, like, we're all upper tier collectors. We're in it to win it, but and a toy shop like that's going to get a lot of collectors as well, but there's also going to have some people that maybe aren't into Transformers, and they just might be like, oh cool, I haven't even seen that, and that's going to, like, I wonder what it'll have next week. Like, I'm not going to buy, they might not even be interested in buying it, but it's just like there's something new there just to even check out, because we all love it. Even if it's not a toy line we collect, it's cool to see.
And like stuff. You said, I mean, we'll call ourselves top tier collectors, which also means we're savvy collectors. We're not paying. I didn't pay Big Bad Toy Store price for that Masterpiece.
No, you
Prime.
bought on Amazon
so,
Japan. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So
it's better than wholesale.
Right. So I mean, I'm not gonna take a loss unless they knock it off in the next week before I sell it, and then I'll take a loss, because once they knock it off, the market's dead on that. Yeah. And that's something that happened to Masterpiece Transformers, as well as design changes. Just the knockoffs are killing the market.
Yeah, it's happened to well, I don't know if did Sunstreaker get knocked off?
Not that I know of.
I don't think yet. No.
Yeah, pretty much everything else has though. But so how long have you been in business? When did you open the doors?
Mid-October, so it's only been about 2 months, or not even, maybe.
Wow.
So, yeah. Do you find are you having to seek collections, or are people bringing them to you, or is it still a little bit of both?
Yeah, I just bought a great Star Wars vintage collection today that someone brought in. So like it was actually quite a magical. Like it was a really nice collection. It was a good, yeah, seriously. Like, I mean, I like buying as much as selling, which is a problem. But yeah, the challenge is that, like, I have been getting some walk-ins, and it's been great, and it's been a mix of stuff. Like, like I said, I just bought this great Star Wars collection, but then people will bring in a collection of Playmate Star Trek figures, which are like, all right, well, if they're cheap enough, I'll buy anything, but it's not like people are traveling to my store for Star Trek 90 Star Trek figures. But I like to have the variety, but I still hit shows. I wake up early on the weekends and I'll hit the shows. I haven't had much time for the flea markets, but I think the greatest advantage of having a brick and mortar store is, without a doubt, the walk-ins of buying and selling, for sure, 100%.
How do you decide? Because just like my display room is limited in space, you have limited space in the store. Even if I got some more wall, but I don't have display cases yet, because display cases are not cheap either. It's like, oh well, there's $1,000 to $5,000, depending on what you're putting up. So how do you decide what to put on display versus, what, I'll put that in the bin, or or I'll put that in the back room? How do you kind of, what guides?
So yeah, I've just started, since I've just opened a couple of months ago, I'm just starting to come into that problem of space, because I guess I have rapidly purchased in the last month or two. I think you just kind of get a sense of like what people are showing interest in and what they aren't, moving things around, getting creative in maximizing your space. I do move things around a lot. Again, I don't know if that's just my OCD or if it's something like that should be done, but I do like to move things around and reorganize. I think that's part of being a collector, though, is organizing, figuring out what works, what isn't working, and again, it's like an experiment of maximizing space. Hopefully, the goal is that you're selling. Obviously, with a new business, it takes some time, but I'm selling merchandise which opens doors to new merchandise.
Yeah.
But
so hopefully it's less cycling, rotating what's on
Right.
display, and more just filling holes that got made.
Right. Definitely. Filling holes and creating new displays is what I've been doing. It's all an experiment for sure.
Do you find it useful to I mean, I would imagine, but I don't know that you want at least something representative of everything you have in the back room per se, just so that at least maybe somebody will ask you questions of, do you got more in the back, or do you put up signs that say, ask for what you're looking for, we have more in the back? Have you found any of those techniques useful?
So I'm when someone comes in the store, I try to be I think comic and toy stores have always traditionally have the reputation of being unfriendly, where people you walk in and
worst
they
customer
ignore you in the room.
ever.
Right, absolutely, exactly. I hope that I'm breaking that trend, because when someone comes in the store, I'm not gonna push on someone, but I'll engage with them, and I'll just, again, it's only me at this point, and it's not like a mad dash of people, but I always say, hey, look, I'm always putting new stuff out. If there's something you're looking for, let me know. I might have it in the back room. I might have it somewhere else. So I try to engage the customer, but I also think it's the kind of store I try to represent as much as I can, and I'm hoping that when you come in, you get that, and you get the sense that there's probably more. Plus, I created a big area for behind the counter, and if you come in, I'm always sorting through new collections, and you can kind of get the idea that it's a constant battle to, I'm always getting something new and working on something. I like parts, so I acquire, I don't know about you guys, but as a collector, sometimes I enjoy the parts, the weapons, more than I do the figures. So over the last, decade or two, I've really amassed Star Wars weapons, Transformer weapons, obscure weapons, and I've got bins and bins of weapons. So I'm always going through bins and matching things up, and I'll get a figure sometimes, and I might not find the parts for a year, but I might have them in the back. So I like to match things up. I like the work. I like the putting it all together.
I don't know if I don't think I have them anymore, but I don't know if you ever, because again, I know you're very I have a lot of breadth in what you're collecting, whereas the three of us are 90% Transformers. I go pretty deep into Ninja Turtles as well, but that's about it.
I've just gotten pretty hardcore into dealing those too. By the way, that's a fun. Sorry, go ahead. No. That's a fun toy line. I'm a little older, but Ninja Turtles was the tail end of my youth, and I had a few, but I wasn't a huge collector. So I'm just discovering them now, and I'm discovering how compulsive the parts are, because there's multiple colors for different characters, and I'm just starting to get into Turtles, and I've been amassing a lot of Turtles, and
Playmates
I've been having
all the weapons in whatever color plastic was around, and they're not painted at all. It's just everything gets, oh, it's pink this time. Oh, it's green this time. I mean, without a care.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun sorting and selling Turtles lately. Sorry.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know of someone well known in the Transformer community called Megatoy Fan. His name's Brett. He's a staple at every Transformer convention that ever existed. He's in the dealer room, and he's been there forever. But over a decade ago, he gave me 2 bags, bigger Ziploc bags full of just random parts as a gag. He was doing raffles in his room. It's a kind of a tradition at Transformer conventions, though, to be parts parties in the nights leading up to, and the nights of the conventions, but it's really the kind of the Friday night before, when nothing's really happening yet. Yeah, and I don't know what those were. There were a couple of Ninja Turtle items that I recognized in there, but most of it, he's just he's I don't know what these are, but they're not Transformer parts, and probably not G.I. Joe, and he's into a few other things, but he's mostly Transformers, he's just
That sounds like the most fun bag I could imagine. That's what gets me excited is bags of parts that that I get to sort through.
And those 80s toy lines, everything's like, here's a little black gun for every toy line ever.
Send them to me. I love going through parts.
Yeah. There you go, Rob. Make a deal. Ship the parts on to
I still
Randy.
have them. Like, I wouldn't have thrown it away. I'm too much of a collector to even throw away junk toys. Like, I'll find a home for it, even if it's like just drop it off at Goodwill and let them throw it away. But I think I may have just given it to somebody, that was like, oh, I'll do it. Like, I may have given it to Nick or something. There's a friend of ours that runs Big Ten Toys, but he's just purely online. And it shows.
So let me ask you, like, I know you mentioned going to toy shows. Mm-hmm. Do you also host your own toy shows with NerdOut?
Yep, I do. Me and my buddy Tommy, we run the NerdOut Toy Show. It's just a small little show. I think we pretty much do it in mid-June of every year, and I think we've been doing it for like 3 years. But 1 year, I think we did 2 or 3 of them in that year. But do a toy show. Pretty much in June, it's the NerdOut Toy Show. It's a small little show. It's got a cool vibe. This year, we're looking to make it a larger venue. But also this will be the first year running the show, and then being able to promote my shop as well. So that'll be interesting. That'll be a lot of fun. But we get a good turnout. Yeah, totally.
Totally.
So has there been anything that you haven't been open too long yet, but that is just like something that's walked in and you're just like, oh, holy crap. Have you had that moment? Like the Star Wars collection sounds like it was pretty close. That was at least exciting, but something just like, oh man,
that not yet. I mean, I'll be honest with you. You're like you said, it's only been 2 months. I picked up things in that time frame that were like, I picked up a Godakin, but that was at a flea market, so that doesn't fit that bill of walking in. But this Star Wars collection I picked up today. Sorry, I'm losing it already. Has that potential. Like, I was very excited to get this. It was the first. It was the person who brought it in. It was his childhood collection. There's something magical about getting a collection that is a childhood collection, because you can see the connection and you can feel like that these toys were part of someone's history as a whole. Like, it's one thing, like I bought some really cool stuff off some vendors who come, like, or dealers, I don't know what the proper term is, that have brought stuff to me, knowing that I have a shop, and got some really cool stuff. But there's something about a guy, a 45-year-old dude coming in the door with his childhood toys, and you get to like see his childhood. No, yeah, I mean, it's not like it's more just like my ability to appreciate that, like, this was loved, like, as a whole. This was a scene. This was your basement for 40 years ago, and I love that.
Yeah, about 3 or 4 years ago, a coworker of mine. At the time, I'd already even left the job, but like he messaged me on Facebook or something, and he's just like, he had told me he had like a box of Transformers up in his attic. I was like, you ever get them? You have to let me know what they are. I'll tell you, what's what. Just not for any personal gain. I'd enjoy it. Going through it. And, he messaged me on Facebook. He's like, hey, I got those Transformers. He's like, I brought them to work, and so it worked out in that week when I could swing by, and he's just like, here you go. It's like,
that's
cool,
awesome.
Thanks. I gave some to some of my buddies. Like I gave Christian Walker Squawk Talk complete. Squawk Talk and Beast Box together. Because I know he'd been wanting those or something, and it was just, I knew it. Because we're buddies. And I was like, what's your address? And it was, come and go. I upgraded some of my pieces or whatever, but it was cool.
That's awesome.
So when you have people bringing stuff in, like, do most people have no idea what they have, or do they? A lot of people, have they done research prior to say, oh, like, I know this is this or this is that, or does it just kind of run the gamut?
Yeah, it sort of runs the gamut. I mean, I'm not in this business to take advantage of anybody, but I do hope that, when someone comes in, that they are somewhat informed and educated, but I'll let them know, like, the best I can. But it runs the gamut. Like I said, I bought a few collections from actual collectors who bring it in, and it's the whole, I'm done playing with this, I've moved on. You give it a shot, and work out a deal. And then there's, people who have no idea what they have, or I always ask, the first question I always ask is, what are you looking to get for your collection first? And then we go from there. But yeah, it's
most people I've talked to that buy and sell, and I mean, I'm pretty blunt about it. I mean, and I don't know, if you're an adult, I mean, you understand businesses have to make money, because
Sure.
I'm sure your landlord isn't like, you can just stay in the store until it works out.
Right.
You can just stay in the space. Don't worry about it. That electricity bill, don't worry about it. I'll cover it, But, I think some people, get a little bit of sticker shock when they're like, normally they're going to buy it at about 30 to 40% of what you can sell it for. Unless it's something, like it'll turn really quick. Then you might be able to
Sure.
get a little more on it.
And that's what I tell them too. I mean, I will buy anything and everything, but that is really the
Playmate Star Trek, you might have to buy less than that.
right, right. But no, you're right. Definitely. What was the point on that? I'm sorry, I lost my point.
I was just that I didn't know if you'd get any.
Oh yeah.
People coming in to sell that are like, oh
Yeah.
wait, you're gonna sell this for $10 and you want to give me $3? It's like, dude, it might sit there for 3 months and I got to pay rent.
So far I've had a pretty positive. Like, I haven't been getting a whole lot of like, well, this goes for this on eBay, and because that is, I think I'm hoping people are starting to understand that, like, selling toys and listing on eBay is work. I mean, it really is. I mean, beside the fact that someone brings in a toy collection to me, I'm going to clean it. I'm going to match everything up, assuming it's loose or whatnot. I'm going to sort through it. I'm going to have to educate myself, and I'm going to have to post it, and then I'm going to have to pay, and I think people are starting to realize that it is work. So if you bring something into a shop,
you're looking for the easy way out.
That's right. Absolutely.
Totally
so you're not
fine.
going to get full. Right. It is totally fine. Absolutely. Or it's the easy way for them. But
when I sell stuff on eBay, I'm going to lose minimum $3 or $4 on shipping. If it's a larger item, I'm going to lose even more. And then I'm going to lose about 15-20% in eBay and PayPal fees. And that's just off the top. And so when I have like a $13 item on eBay and somebody's like, yo, can you sell this for $6? I'm like, no, I don't want to pay you to take this off my hands.
Right.
I'll just.
Well, and if someone's selling a big collection, like this person that brought in the Star Wars thing, they're bringing in a larger amount of things, and people might not realize until they start doing it, is like, if you try to list those individually, that's like a full-time job.
100%.
100%. So like you being available to have the funds to even offer them something reasonable for a large amount of items all at once, you're going to get it for a lot less than the full value. That's the whole point. You're paying up front for a future potential gain down,
and they're
even
walking away with
a potential
a nice
break
stack
even
of cash in their pocket
That's right.
as well, which always feels
and,
nice.
and space in their house.
Yeah.
So
you're talking about, it's a one-man shop, a one-man show, very literally. So the question on my mind is, how do you go to the bathroom?
I'll be honest, it hasn't. I'm hoping this will
Colostomy
change.
bag.
Yeah.
You got a jar.
I have a
There's
small
a jar
bladder,
behind the thing. Do not look in it. Just don't look in it.
I have a small bladder, so I'm always going to the bathroom too. I mean, there are moments where there's several people in the shop, but for the most part, like a Wednesday at 1:00, there's not really a whole lot. I mean, a whole lot of people. I'm hoping that changes, but at this point, it's pretty. I keep busy. I'm doing a lot of work, and it's not like jam packed. Maybe if I was in a bigger city and whatnot, but I've only been 2 months in, so that'll take some time. So I'm taking advantage of the time I have.
So the clientele that's been coming into your shop, like, would you say is it skewed towards older collectors, or is it like parents and kids, or what's kind of the gamut of people that have been coming into your store?
Yeah, so it's been really mixed. I would say that the majority is like, early 40s or 30s to 40s action figure collectors or whatnot, or people who are just like, going down memory lane. But it's kind of great because some parents will bring their kids in, and it's really amazing to see I find that more and more of the younger generations are not connecting with action figures, not into the same things that we are. They have so many other options, YouTube,
Video
whatever.
games.
That absolutely. So they're not really, but these kids will come in and they'll be like, go through and like, oh look, it's they'll be listing off He-Man fig characters, and I get really excited when I see that. When I see that there are future generations like connecting with these things, like, oh, Voltron, like that's great. So I do get that, but I would say mostly it's dudes like you and I and whatnot.
Do you have any regulars yet? You know, people that come in every.
Yes.
Awesome.
I've got guys that come in once a week, and I love it. It's again like the whole reason I did this. I mean, sure, I want to make money and I want to succeed, but you don't open up a toy store looking to become a millionaire. I could have stayed in real estate and pushed harder on that. Like I like when people come in, they hang out, they buy something new, we talk, we chat about the new episode of Mandalorian or whatever we're into at that moment. Yeah, no spoilers. And it's great. So I'll engage. Like I enjoy it. I enjoy the conversation. Again, it's called NerdOut. I hope that when someone comes in the store that they are enjoying themselves and they're not feeling like they're getting the cold shoulder. But at the same time, I'm not jumping on people's shoulders. I'm gonna let them look around and do their thing.
Introduce and then see how they respond.
That's right. Absolutely. You got to get the feel of someone.
We talked about the stereotype of comic book stores not always being the most friendly. Kind of reminds me of also like record stores.
For sure, there's a snobbery to it.
I don't feel that I think the action figure toy store I feel is a newer concept, not new, but like it's a lot less common than a comic book store. But I kind of feel that it kind of gives it a blank slate as an industry of like. I've been into a couple of them now, and they're always like people are coming in like they're ready to talk toys. Like my local shop, I flew out for a work trip last week, and I was like, well, I'm going to leave 30 minutes early so I can hit Totally Rad on the way to the airport. And I went in there and just ended up chatting up the owner, and then like they closed, like I was near the end of when they closed, and like they closed and like turned over the sign. I was like, oh shit, I'll get out of your hair so you can get home. And they're like, no, it's fine. They're like, we're here to talk, and we were talking about some like third-party stuff they had, and they weren't super familiar with it. Like they did the research, they knew what it was priced accurately. But just to kind of chat them up and talk toys, and they started a Facebook group, and that's been great. There's been a lot of activity in it, for the local area. So I don't know, it's been a lot of fun hearing about, even though I'm not big on brick and mortar, hearing about it for vintage toys. I don't know, that excites me again. It's kind of
what is part of my ignorance, like what is your distaste for brick and mortar stores? Like
I should say just, like brick and mortar.
He's lazy.
I just find it pointless. It's because it's all about this shipping headache. It's about this distribution headache that it's like, dude, just let me press the button online. I want it, so go make it and ship it to me.
I get that, but I think to argue that is like, if a brick and mortar store offers you that service and that experience, doesn't that enhance the whole? Like, that experience was as much joy as the actual physical object you have. Like,
yeah, but then you both had to fight over it because there was only one. So that's why we all stopped doing that.
Right.
No,
that and the fact that there's fewer places that care.
You know what? That was a kind of a light bulb moment what you just said there for me. I think you're 100% correct. I shouldn't say I don't. I do have one buddy who's in the area, but we never, not close enough for us to go hunt together. And I used to go out on the hunt, but eventually, how many times you can go to the store and not find something before you're like, man, I'm done with this,
Yeah, and I think that's
happened.
A sad reality.
But like when BotCon used to be around, or now I want to go to TFCons, sometimes those events happen where we get together on a down night, or before the show really kicks in, and we would go around and hit up the Targets and Wally's and whatever, and that was always definitely enjoyable. And if I went to Toys R Us and there were people there talking toys, back when that used to be a thing. You're correct. It would be a different experience because you could go there and, again, to copy your phrase, to nerd out about it a bit, which didn't exist at Toys R Us. It was a chore.
I mean, if I'm buying toilet paper, I'm totally on the same page with you. The convenience of pushing a button is all there. But when it comes to like a hobby, I would much rather the experience of walking in the door, seeing it on the shelf, being able to physically touch it and in that process. But yeah, toilet paper, I'm with you. I'm gonna
And that's where I think vintage toys especially are a big difference, just because condition is so varies again.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
and it's like I do my best when I list stuff on eBay. Like I'm not trying to rip anybody off. I take big close-up detailed pictures of it, and hopefully they can see what they need. And, I'm almost like, ask me any questions you want. I'll send you videotape of it if you want it. But it's then they get it in, they're like,
wow,
all this
kinder than me. I wouldn't send video.
I've never done it, but I would.
Right. I think it's almost better nowadays to be vague on your descriptions in eBay to avoid the conflict, because you will get some pretty difficult customers on eBay.
I agree.
So the best thing is to take your pictures, be vague. If they want to ask you questions, of course you answer your questions and in as much detail as you can. But
I mean, if you know something's wrong, you need to mention it. Obviously,
100%,
like there's an obvious
100%.
scratch here, or there's some obvious yellowing or something broken. But
right,
you'll get that one guy's like, oh, there was this paint chip here. And it's like, it's in the picture. I didn't find it personally notable.
I never.
You,
yeah.
just.
I never grade toys on, if I'm going to list something on eBay, which I do. I never grade it, because my grade or my interpretation of the condition, it could be far different than someone else's. So again, being vague is probably your best bet.
And the customer seems to think that their grade method is the only one that exists.
Yeah.
So I'm with you 100%. Like I will say stuff just like, this box isn't good.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just not good.
Box has
anything that you find wrong with it is covered.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a bad box, bro.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that's nice too about the toy store is like you can hold it in your hand and actually like check out. I mean, because I think it's so important for vintage toys, because I mean you can get lucky on eBay and find something in good condition, and you can also find something that has floppy joints and like the backside of it's cracked and whatever the case may be. So I'd much rather just go into the store and
100%. Yeah.
So, and I think the thing that's cool too about like a store like you said, like where you're always rotating merchandise, it's like every week you go in there, it's something new.
Definitely.
So before we start winding down a little bit, because we've been going for about an hour, I did one big question I still have is like going new into this business, even though you've been in toys for a long time, but has there been anything that you didn't expect that you're like, oh shit, like that didn't go how I expected, or I didn't think about that at all, some expense or just occurrence, like need to go to the bathroom at the middle of the day, like that's something that might catch me off guard. I'm like, oh man, I didn't think this through. What do I do?
That's a great question. I know that I had a few of those moments, and I can't think of like one at this moment, but yeah, but no, that's a great question, because I think every day there's some sort of challenge, like, oh, I didn't think about that, or something like that. I do think that when I opened the store, to be completely honest, is I thought it was the whole if you build it, they will come type situation. And you definitely have to advertise, and you have to advertise in many different places, and learning what's working, what's not. Social media happens to be pretty good for advertising, but also, everyone is so occupied with their own time, as they should. They have so many obligations that like going out into a store is difficult, and patience is important. Just to be super patient.
Give it time.
Like every day another person comes in and they'll be like, oh, I've wanted to come here so bad and I haven't been able to get out. So being patient and advertising is huge.
What is there any social media platforms that you find, or any other avenue of advertising that you find, which ones that kind of like are notably work well or notably don't work well?
I'm still learning. I definitely think Facebook works well. I mean, I'm not the hugest Facebook fan, whatever, but it does work really well. Advertising in some of the the community groups is really great. I need to probably rev that up a bit. I like Instagram. I think that's a lot of fun. So I do like that. But I'm still trying to explore other advertising. Is print dead? I think it might be, but there's like some local what's going on in the area type newspapers, and I'm considering doing some advertising there. But it's still I'm just discovering so much every day, and I want to grow the business, and I want it to be a place where if you're in this community, this is a place you want to go. I want to do like some maybe like after hour events.
Yeah.
Like I'm just talked to a guy about. I think I'm gonna do like build a figure Marvel Legends build a figure trading night. Maybe have I think that'd be really fun. I'm part of a few groups. I'm gonna probably try to have gatherings for that. I mean, I really want to engage the community. Again, the challenge is that such a like I'm in just a small area of the world, and there's so many people. I would love to be I would love them to be part of this, but the reality is people are the internet has just brought people together in such a different way that you forget how large the world really is.
I did want to touch on what are your marketing strategies and stuff so far? Like did you have an opening night event or anything?
I didn't. I kept getting harassed from my friends for not doing that. But everything really just happened so quick that by the time I got to the point where I was going to do a grand opening, it was already like a month in, and it just sort of like. I did sort of go with the attitude of just like I just want to create this thing and just let it sort of happen organically. I don't know why. Maybe I like to do things the hard way, but I didn't do a grand opening. I would like, as far as that goes, I really want to do toy exclusives. That's the big thing I really want to do. I'm working on something now. I want to have a NerdOut Toys exclusive. Like that's super important to me. And of course for that, the online storefront would be a big part of that because I wouldn't want to completely isolate the community. I want to get exclusives out to people, but I want to have that. That's a big thing.
So if you do start, fire up a Shopify store or something like that. Shopify is just the most go-to one, but even that's what Hasbro Pulse is using underneath.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shopify Plus.
Oh, sorry.
It's a big difference.
How do you find pricing things, versus in-store versus online? And there's a difference, too, if it's Shopify or whatever it is and you run it, because then it's going to hit your same credit card processor. You're going to hit the same fees or whatever versus, you sell it on eBay, now somebody else is getting your fees.
Right.
Do you think you price it online? Do you price it the same or do you price it any differently?
That is a good question. I haven't quite gotten there yet. Yeah. I think no matter what avenue you're taking, someone else is getting a piece of the pie, whether it's credit card company, PayPal, or shipping costs or something. So it's just sort of just works itself out. I don't know if that's, true, but like people who buy something at my shop are going to save on the shipping costs of not having to ship it. So that's probably the ultimate advantage, but someone's somewhere somehow. Yeah. There's just no way around it. Everyone needs a piece of the pie.
Speaking of getting pieces of the pie, are you going to be coming to TFCon in March and setting up?
Is that the one in Orlando?
Yes.
Is it?
Yep.
I'm not sure I'll make that one, but I really regretted missing the Baltimore one or the Maryland one. I'm not quite sure that I'll be able to do something for Orlando, but I would like to. I feel it's going to be important for me to make a presence at some of the shows for sure.
I will tell you that for better or worse, and it just is how it is. But the TFCon dealer room is a bit more dramatic than it needs to be.
How so?
Sometimes you got to know people to get a spot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot more complex than it should be. But
you mean to get a table?
Yeah, to get a table.
Not like buying toys.
No. Sorry. But you have to be able to set up. It is one of those that I would encourage you that if you do want, to set up, that you contact Colin, who's the guy that runs TFCon, like earlier, rather like even if you like I'm sure he'll do a show in the fall, and you're pretty close to Canada, aren't you?
Oh yeah, so Toronto would be the only complication there is really just customs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to Captain Prey about that.
Have you ever set up a TFCon before as a vendor?
I haven't, but I've helped out vendors. Again, we
have
buddies that are vendors.
Okay. that must change the I guess the dynamic of the show, or like, is it not as enjoyable to attend? Because I really love going to TFCon, and I really like being in the mix of it, being part of it.
It depends on what you're
I
looking
don't know.
for.
I think it's so much fun to sell stuff at those things, but maybe I'm a different breed. I don't know. I think it's a party.
I think as long as you have somebody helping you out, you know, if it's
True.
as long as it's not just you, I think it can be fun because you can still take breaks and tour the dealer room and try to find stuff out. And I mean, a lot of times the dealers will be doing trading before the show starts itself too. So
That's a good point.
This past TFCon is the first time I've actually fully worked a booth, and I was helping out our buddy Orson at Captured Prey. And I mean, I've helped him like load and unload before, and you know, I know other people there, but usually at BotCons, like I wanted to be at the show, but I don't know, I've gotten old and jaded, and so I look at the panels, it's like, man, other than the third party panel, like nothing is must. It's like I love the voice actors being there and whatnot, but I've seen most of them, I've met most of them, I've heard them give talks, and pure Q&A sessions don't interest me too much anymore. Like, how do you get into voice acting for the 8,000th time? You know, I've heard that question too many. So I found working the dealer room floor, I don't know if I'd want to do it every time for every show.
Right.
But it was actually a lot of fun because a lot of people come by, you know, you get some people like, hey, do you have this, you have that, and you kind of get to talk toys with them. You get to kind of Vanna White a few things, you know, if you got something more expensive you're trying to sell, you know, it's kind of fun.
No, that makes sense. It gives you purpose to talk to strangers,
Yeah.
like if you're doing that,
so
for sure.
It's not a horrible existence, but I know some people get burnt out on it. They're like, man, every time I go to a show, I'm so concerned with running the floor, and I don't get to see it all or whatever. It's just, to me, I think it really depends on what panels are there that year, you know, and
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I think you really need a buddy.
And you got to have some friends
for sure.
100%.
You got to have some friends, you know, even if they can cycle in, you get 2 or 3 helpers, and usually when you sign up for a dealer room at any of these shows, you know, they'll give you X amount of badges with your table, and you might can buy another one or whatever. And so, like what Orson's done for years, because Capture Prey has been a staple in the community for a long time. He's always had numerous helpers, you know, but they're not all there all the time. You know, that way he can get some breaks, even though he's mostly going to be there. And it also makes everyone knows where you are, so your buddies know where to find you. You know,
that's a good point.
And if they go there and you're not there, somebody at the table knows where you are. You know, so it's a lot of fun. You know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do we have any last questions here? If not, I think we'll. Or if anything you wanted to.
I mean,
if you got some more questions,
there were plenty. Yeah, I got quite a few, but I lost a lot of them because
I took notes.
I didn't want to talk over everybody. Have you met a decent amount of other shop owners? You know, like maybe not in your local area, but you know, even in the Midwest.
Not a great deal, but I absolutely believe it's important to like network with the other shop owners. Like, I think that there's always been like this competitive, you know, adversary attitude with comic book shops in the past, and I don't see any purpose for that, especially, you know, working with other people all over the place. I mean, just that networking just seems like not only more enjoyable, but just more beneficial for yourself and the community and them. So I'm all for working with other. In any way.
A lot of the vendors at Transformer shows, you know, those dealers have been doing it for years, and a lot of them are friends. And yeah, they might sometimes be selling the same product, but a lot of times they're referring each other to the other ones all the time because people think, how do I get this vintage toy? I don't know. I'll go to Orson at Catcher and be like, oh, I don't have that. You need to talk to Brett at Make a Toy Fan. But they came to you first, and they know that if you don't have it, you can help them get it. And it really does help. It's less competition than you would think. At least especially in the vintage market.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if I don't have it, then there's no reason for me not. I mean, I'm not losing anything by suggesting someone go see someone else. You know, I'm all for it. Like, I think it needs to be. I think it's action figures, toys, whatever. It's got to be a community. It has to be.
Well, I would. You know, I hear you're pretty busy running your shop most days, but I would implore you to take a trip to Chicago sometime. You know, because there's actually quite a few spots now, you know, and it's like maybe there's like five to 10 actual like
Really?
shops run by specific dudes that, you know, you kind of know who the guy is, and there's a little network going on there, and I'm
great.
sure it'd be good to you know, to just get plugged in there, and I'd be happy to do some of that if I could for you.
Awesome. I love the city, so I definitely might take you up on that.
Keep them coming, Paul.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what other questions you have
Well,
there, Paul?
You kept talking, and I don't. Well, okay, we were talking about your customer base, and this. I'll ask kind of two questions here. Like, I know you've only been open for 2 months or so, but like, what is your specialization, or what do you think it will be? Because to me, from listening to you, it sounds like you want to specialize in parts, maybe, like in general. But
No,
not like
I don't really sell
brand.
the parts. Like I
Okay.
use them to. So no. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It's definitely like I sell other things beside action figures, like other toys, but it definitely is an action figure store. And if you're coming in, I try to hit as much of the action figure gamut as I can. But it's definitely you're gonna come in and you're gonna know it's an action figure store. That you're gonna know that's where I'm coming from.
Well, what about like Barbies?
I have some My Little Ponies. I have what else? Like a lot of other genre type in the same thing. She-Ra definitely. That's awesome. But yeah, no, Care Bears. I definitely want to hit anything cartoony or fun that sort of fits in that world. Like Lego, I would even, I have a few Lego things. That's probably opening a door to a whole nother thing, but I would definitely carry that. If it's cool, if I think it's cool, I'm going to carry it. And like Garbage Pail Kids, I think Garbage Pail Kids are cool. I'm going to carry Garbage Pail Kids if they come in the door. That movie is haunting. Yes.
Well, like when I think about the Chicago toy seller scene, which is a ridiculous thing to think there even is, but I've found out there totally is. Like I've learned that each store does kind of fit into the machine in a certain way, and like one focuses like on music related stuff, even though they have like all the toys and whatnot. They have like a lot of records or cassettes or something like that. Something that the other toy, literally 6 blocks down the street, doesn't have. And then, that store it has retro stuff, but it might actually get stuff from the 2000s, like Pokemon cards and like Armada Transformers that the other store would never consider because it's like too modern. Like I just wonder what your niche will end up being over time, and I don't know if you know that yet, but I think it might develop.
I think the market will determine what my niche is, but 80s and action figures is probably my niche. That's what I'm most passionate about. But yeah, I mean, the market will really determine it. Like I like the Super 7 reaction figures, but if people don't come in and buy them, I'm not going to continue to order them. So something like that, but definitely a retro nostalgia. Like I dig it. Like I love that. I just bought a collection of VHS tapes, and actually they're pretty cool. If they sell, I'll continue to buy them. If they don't sell, then the market dictates that there will not be any more VHS tapes at NerdOut. But I got some records. I've got some cassettes. I would love to have. I've had Walkman. I sold a couple Walkman. I mean, that stuff is all cool. If I think it's cool, it'll be in my store. I would love to venture into like vintage sneakers, but that's I have to open a whole nother. Yeah, that's another world. Actually, I was thinking about renting another place and opening a sneaker store, but that's a whole nother thing. I don't have the capacity.
You have to constantly
do that,
run back and forth.
Yeah, but I would love to do that. Like, I guess it's just sort of a combination of a reflection of me and also what the market will dictate. Like, I'm not going to sell. If someone comes in with a collection of Beanie Babies, I'm not going to buy into that. There's no market for it, nor do I have any passion for that. But and same thing with I'm not going to carry baseball cards or something. But at the same time, I would carry packs of Pokemon card. I've got no problem with that. That'd be great. If I can get a wholesaler, I mean, I think that's fun.
I think that's,
I probably would.
No, keep going.
Sell individuals. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have a showcase full of individuals because that's a whole new thing I have to learn. But certainly, if people, if I can get a hold of Pokemon cards, I would carry something like that.
I think some of that stuff is where having that network of vendors would come really useful, where you can be like, yo, I'm not buying baseball cards, or you can be like, all right, I'll buy these, at very, very cheap, but then, you can shop it to your network, and you may not even make any money or might not make much on it, sell it to another vendor for what you bought it for, just kind of help each other out, and then you find they either send Transformer or, 80s nostalgia stuff your way, or can, again, help you make some wholesale deals behind the scenes. Just kind of help spread the love around.
For sure. I just bought a collection of vintage posters. I don't know whether I'm going to put them out in the shop, but I do have other friends that are in the business, and I'll certainly offer them to them if I can't find room for them. You know, I definitely got to make those connections.
Is there anything that other than like lines? You kind of mentioned some. I had a note here. I was kind of wondering, like, that you would not buy. Like Beanie Babies, nah.
Yeah.
Other than lines, are there any other things that you would just like I'm not going to carry knockoff of any sort, or like, I'm not going to get into third party, or I'll get into third party, but I'm not going to carry iGear stuff because I don't like iGear's products for any reason. Is there any other kind of things where you're just like, that's not my scene?
Not in a negative way, but I think I would have a hard time carrying Magic the Gathering. Not because I have a problem with it, just because it's a whole nother world. But again, maybe I'd carry packs, but I certainly couldn't get into the whole. When I first opened the store, I think people were trying to encourage me to be a gaming store and carry. I love D&D's great. I will totally carry manuals and miniatures, but I don't know that I would necessarily host gaming events. I don't know. Maybe I would actually. So maybe I'll go back on that. I just think
I find gaming stores are also more common than action figure stores. So it's kind of like
that is true.
If I want to go to gaming, there's somewhere to go. If you want.
That's a good point.
It's hard from I want to do everything nerd to maybe that's the specialty. Paul is just action figures. That is its own specialty.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In Chicago that wouldn't work because literally everyone has the same. They all have that. You have to differentiate beyond that in some way, or you'll just kind of get lost.
And then let's go to Quake. At this point, you're going to get lost anyways.
Right. They're they're like the everything else scattered from there. So it's a little different when you're you've been there for 30 years.
Yeah. Sorry, Quake is a store in Chicago that is. If you go to Chicago, you have to go to Quake. It's awesome. An excellent store, but the place is a mess, and it drives my OCD up a wall. I want to shut his door and start sorting that stuff. And it was obviously sorted at one time, and he obviously sorts it when he can. But I think there's so much turnover there that I will find the same product here and over there at different prices.
It's just not worth his time.
Yeah, $5 difference in there. He's like. It just goes. So
It just churns. People come in every time I've gone in there twice in 1 week, and it's a completely different store.
Yeah.
It's not. He's realized after all these years, what's the point?
People are going to come in here and dig. They enjoy digging. It definitely becomes part of the fun. It's where I got burnt out on digging at Target and Walmart, trying to say, did they get the wave in yet? Nope. I was like, why can't I just buy it online? Which now I can for the most part, not always, but vintage is different. Vintage is fun to dig. That's why dealer rooms at every Transformer show is the most popular aspect of them. You go and you dig. You're looking through baggies, you're digging through bins, it's all kinds of good stuff.
Well, your store sounds really cool.
It sounds
Randy,
awesome.
I hope
Thank you.
Hope we all get to come check it out one of these days.
Well, you're only in Chicago. That's not a far drive. Don't just drive for the shop, but
or do.
If you're ever in the Detroit area, or do.
I'll make sure I come next time I come to a Lions game. I will.
There you go.
I will make sure.
Are you often going to Lions games?
I've only gone once in my life. I'm never going again.
It's like, why would you go to a Lions game? Jeez.
Free.
Yeah, what I could see realistically happening someday is us doing us as in my family doing a trip to Canada, and then like tacking that on with TFCon Canada, either before or after it or something like that. But I haven't looked exactly at the map, but I'm wondering how much it would be a swing out, to hit up Oak Park, Michigan on the way up.
It would not be too bad if you're taking the bridge to Canada or the tunnel in Detroit, about 20 minutes out of your way. I would totally say that would be a reasonable little side trip.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I would recommend.
Hit up the store.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Check out your Ninja Turtles. If you get a news van, let me know.
I have one. It's just missing one part, and then it'll go out.
Really?
Oh, you want the news van?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of the I will. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, there you go.
A lot of great turtles in lately.
Yeah. All right. So, do you have anything you want to leave us with? A final plug or thoughts on the store? Just a summary of how it's been the past 2 months.
Yeah, just honestly, it is a dream. The future is unknown. I don't know if an action figure store will survive in this economy, but I hope that it does, and I hope that when you come into the store or when my website's up or whatnot, that you sense the passion of what I'm trying to do, and I hope that passion never goes away, because once the passion goes away, then it won't be NerdOut. But I'm in it to win it, and any support is always great. And hopefully it just grows in the direction that I just want it to grow.
Awesome. Well,
Do you have any website that we can plug at least?
Yeah. NerdOutToys.com. Right now it's just a basic landing page with some pictures and some information. But
it's got all the social media links, your Facebook,
right,
your Twitter,
absolutely.
your Instagram, all the good stuff.
After the first of the year, I should have the store kick in. It'll start slow, of course, but I'll get that rolling. You'll be able to get your NerdOut T-shirts there, and some toys and fun stuff. But as long as I'm continuously growing, I'll be happy. And I think what I've done in 2 months is a pretty nice.
You're proud of what you did.
I am very proud of it. Yeah.
Is it really? Did you paint it green?
I did.
That's awesome.
I was very specific about all my store colors. I was very anal about it. Everything had to match the certain colors that I went with, and I did paint it green. So,
it looks nice. It's dope. Like, you're the anti-Quake, from what I can see.
Yeah.
Like, those cabinets look really good.
Yeah, it's
very nice.
And if you like hearing Randy talk about toys and pop culture in general, like obviously if you're in Oak Park, Michigan, or anywhere nearby, you definitely need to stop by and chat him up. He also has his YouTube show, NerdOut with a K. You can just search YouTube for NerdOut, and I'll have a link in the description once we finish as well. But him and his buddy Brian usually on there just talking about pop culture and toys and comics and just all kinds of good stuff. So definitely check that show out. That's a lot of fun. I think with that, we'll wrap it for tonight. We thank everybody for watching in and listening, because this will be up on your favorite podcast or whatever, later. I got to rip it and do all kinds of that crap. But, again, this was Ouch My Wallet, part of TF Talk Network. If you enjoy what we do, we have a Patreon up at patreon.com/TFLP. We also have we love hearing feedback about the show. If you have any guests that you want to see, or, want to bring Randy back in a few months, check in, see how things are going. We'd love to have you back on sometime. This has been a lot of fun. A lot of our guests end up being regular cast members. It's funny. That's how Paul started out. It's how Rick Alvarez, who used to be brand manager at Transformers, he's a regular part of the cast now. But we love hearing feedback. We have hit us up on Facebook, as well as we have an email address. What's that email address, Paul?
It's currently podcast@tfylp.com.
Yeah. There you go.
Please say anything you want, and we'll read it on the air That's the challenge. So better take us up on it.
Make sure to check us out the rest of the week. We make way too much content at the moment. We got Cut the Tape with Rick, pre-recorded on Fridays. The main TFLP show, that's Transformers for Your Listening Pleasure. That's our bread and butter show on Sundays, is live. All kinds of various topics. This week will be... Do we know what our topic is this week yet? Our topic is a surprise this week. We're keeping it a secret.
Yeah,
we totally
it's a
planned.
surprise. Yeah, no, we're keeping it a surprise.
Yeah.
So.
Tuesdays is Microcasters live on Facebook, and then of course Ouch My Wallet here on Wednesday nights. Thanks again to Randy so much for coming in. This has been awesome. It's awesome kind of peering into that world of not only starting a business but starting a brick and mortar store in 2019. It's obviously a challenging proposition, but I think there's a lot of value and a lot of merit in it, and I'm excited to see what hopefully is more action figure stores come up. It's makes me wish I could start one here in my town. I'm in a suburb, like Nashville's like 40 minutes away. So
I'm thinking we need to check back in, if not sooner, like next year, and see where you're at.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I hope you have a banging Christmas. Cool. Do you have any sales you want to plug or any special events coming up?
Not yet, but I will say stay tuned for future NerdOut Toys store exclusives and events if you're in the area. Again, it's all about the community and like being involved and meeting other people in the community, like-minded people. So stay tuned.
And there's definitely an MP44 for sale.
And there is an MP44
which is an awesome toy. Don't let Lucas the hater tell you otherwise. That thing is amazing.
Such a good Starscream.
Oh, shut up. Jesus. All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody, and we'll see you at the next show. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.